Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you my June Pick a Stick Challenge art journal page. Pick a Stick Challenge is a Facebook art community where we offer 3 challenges a month, one for an art journal page, one for a altered tag, and one for a artist trading card. And these challenges are driven by one-word randomly drawn prompts. So in the page, there are 6 prompts. There are 2 wildcard prompts that you could substitute or include, and then there are 2 colors. I'm starting out this page by using something called Omni Gel, which is a type of a glue or transfer medium, to make a few things that I'm going to let dry. The first one is a magazine cutout, and I'm putting several layers, probably 3 layers of this Omni Gel over the top of the magazine piece, one way, then the other way, then the one way again. I'm going to let that dry. I also have a craft sheet here, and I have some tulip puffy paint, which is something that's designed to paint on t-shirts or sweatshirts or things. It makes a raised plastic flexible stuff, and I just made some dots and squiggles on my nonstick craft sheet, and then I set those aside to dry for a few hours. So my magazine piece is dry. I threw that in some water to soak, and then I am peeling off all these little squiggles off my craft sheet, and I'm also going to peel the paper off the back of my magazine piece. So you can see that on the back it has something else on it. I don't want any of that. I want a clear transfer, and that's what I'm making. So that stuff, the Omnigel that I put on the front, has made a plastic that has attached itself to the ink on the front. And then I'm just taking the paper fiber off of it, peeling it off by rubbing with my finger and just getting that pulp all peeled off the back. So you might have noticed that step 1 for this month's challenge is peel. So I peeled the plasticky stuff off to make some little embellishments, and I also am peeling the paper off the back of this transfer. So you might say to yourself, why would you do that? Why would you make a transfer using this Omni Gel? What is that for? You could just glue that or collage that magazine piece right onto the page and it would be just fine. Well, this makes a clear thing. So when I hold it up, it's translucent. You can see through it. So whatever you put it over the top of shows through. So if you put a transfer like this over the top of, say, a dictionary page, you get the picture, but you also get whatever's behind it. And in this case, I'm going to put some rosy color behind it that's a metallic in the future here. It's not happening yet, but you will be able to see that that shows through the picture while still not changing what the picture looks like, sort of. It's just it's a technique, you know. It's a interesting technique, making transfers. You can also do it with like a color photocopy or a laser copy of something. It's kind of fun to do faces and then make interesting things behind, so that you've got some different interesting colors and shapes and textures behind. It's a fun thing to do. This one might not be as dramatic, but the page is dramatic, and actually this page is kind of dark and moody and a little bit depressing, and sometimes you feel like that. Sometimes you're having a day, and the whole thing about art journaling is that you can express how you're feeling, what you're thinking about. In your art journal, you close it in the book, you've got it outside of your brain and your body, and now it's on the page and you don't have to think about it anymore. Sometimes it's a really good thing to do if you're having, a day of moodiness, depression, whatever. We're not always happy all the time, and that's okay. I don't show this type of stuff on my channel very often because I'm a pretty upbeat person, but this day that I was making this page, I wasn't, and that's okay. So the next thing I did, the next step was nature. And I was looking in a magazine for some nature pictures or something that I could collage. And I found this very dark and moody looking picture in a National Geographic. And I liked the shape on, there's like these oval shapes on the road, plus then of course there's the trees in the background, which is nature. And it was black and gray, and I just thought it was perfect for this page. So the it was a two-page spread in a National Geographic, which is smaller than my spiral bound book that I'm using here. I think is a 9 by 12. And so I just thought it made it more interesting to kind of tear the edges and just put a couple of the pieces on there kind of askew. And then I'm using some black gesso to go around and fill in the white area left, but I'm leaving a little bit of a space between the, instead of making the black gesso go right up to the edge, I am leaving a little bit of a white torn looking space, and I think it just looks really interesting. And I like the shapes, I like the color. It's perfect for this page. So I was happy to find that. The next step is ellipse, and ellipse is an oval. And so I've got those oval shapes already on the road. I found this little die cut that's of bubbles. Those are technically circles, not ellipses, but circles can be ellipses, I think. The definition of ellipse is a regular oval shape traced by a point moving in a plane so that the sum of its distances from two other points is constant, or resulting when a cone is cut by an oblique plane that does not intersect the base. Okay, that didn't help at all. It probably helped some of you, but not me, that did not answer whether or not a circle can be an ellipse. Anyway, back to what I was doing. So I'm looking for a stencil maybe that has the shape. I'm not finding one. I'm looking for just this and that. I'm moving my transfer around. Now remember, the transfer is clear or near clear, translucent. So whatever's behind it is going to show. So if I was to put it directly on the page, then it would be very dark. And the other color that's in the challenge for this month is rose gold. Now, I don't have anything that's rose gold, but I mean, I don't have any paint that's rose gold, but my phone is rose gold, and I have a couple other things that are rose gold, and it is a pinkish metallic, kind of golden pink color. So I decided to just make it myself. So I got some gold metallic paint, some copper metallic paint, some silver metallic paint, and then this uh, other metallic that's like a pink that I have from the Pebeo DYNA line. And I'm mixing them all together until I get a color that I think is exactly what my phone color is. It's a rose gold. That's to me what that color is. Some people would just say rose and call it good, but when I hear rose gold, I think of that metallic color that so many things started to come out in recently. It became popular for some reason. I don't know. So I traced around where my transfer was going to go with a white pencil, and then filled in that whole area with the rose gold paint. And now that's going to show through the transfer in the areas where there aren't any color. And then I kind of traced around my oval shapes that were on the road. I don't know what made those on that road. I have no idea, but it's an interesting picture anyway that somebody took. I don't even know. I went around them with a little bit of that color. I splattered some of the color, and I also painted that bubbly die cut thing that I got in Happy Meal from someone with the rose gold, because I just thought it looked interesting up in that window. Not really any purpose for there to be bubbles on the page. I just thought it looked interesting. So that's the only reason. Then I went back to the Omnigel again. Now the Omnigel is glossy, and the the gel medium, oh my gosh, can I speak today? The gel medium that I put the papers down with is matte. So when I go to put this Omnigel to stick down my transfer, of course, I've got to paint the entire page with that stuff to make it all the same sheen, because otherwise it's shiny in one area and very matte in another. Also, the black gesso is extremely matte. It's very, very matte. So this is step 4, attach. So I attached the transfer. I attached the die cut piece that I had painted, and then I just went over the entire surface with that same Omnigel. Now, I don't like using gloss medium, and I'll tell you why, and it's going to come up in the next step. But the reason I don't like using gloss medium is because it remains sticky. It remains tacky. And no matter how long I let it dry, if I close the book and there's paint on the other side, which there's another art journal page on the other side of this book, and they come together, they're going to stick. They're going to stick to each other. And that annoys the you know what out of me. I don't like it when my pages are all stuck together. So we're going to address that. But before we do, I'm still attaching things. Now this is where I got my little dimensional black squiggly things that I had made using the dimensional paint, the puffy paint it's called. And I'm just putting some of that Omnigel, which just becomes sticky really fast, down on the page, and then just laying those in there and going over the top of it, and they stick right down. They become dimensional pieces right on there. Very easy to do. This is just another way to make an embellishment that you might want to use at some point. I'm not sure how I'm going to store the ones I didn't use. I probably just need to use them up because I can't think of a great way to store them. Maybe with some waxed paper. Right now they're on deli paper. Maybe wax paper. I don't know. But anyway, I stick a bunch of them down onto the page, and they're shiny. They stand up from the page. They're dimensional. Of course, black on black, not as easy to see, but I consider myself done with using rose gold, which is the other color. So I've got black, I've got rose gold, I've attached things. I I didn't do a very clean job of painting underneath the area for the transfer with the rose gold, and so I ended up taking a black Posca pen and going around the edges and just cleaning it up. This is just cleaning up. There's not really any purpose to it. It does end up kind of making a frame around it, but that wasn't my intention in doing it. I was just trying to clean up where the rose gold was showing out from underneath the transfer. So, and I also cut it into an oval. I forgot. That was my other nod to the ellipse. I trimmed it. You could also die cut them. You can do a lot of things with them. They're pretty fun. Fun little technique. So the next step is mellow, and this whole page is pretty darn mellow. I mean, it's not bright. It doesn't have splashes of color or anything, but I did want to also mellow out that stickiness, and this is what I do to my pages that have any type of a medium or paint that is glossy, or even satin does it a little bit. They just remain too tacky. So I mellowed out the stickiness by using some furniture polish, beeswax furniture polish from Daddy Vans, and I just buff it over it. And by the way, one of the wild cards is buff. But I just buff it over, rub it down, and then it won't stick to the other side, and it doesn't feel greasy or anything. It's just it helps a lot if you've got pages that are constantly wanting to stick together. So the last step was text. This could have been, collaged on book text or something, but I decided to write some lyrics from the song that I was listening to, which also had the words. Well, it was just talked about rose gold, kind of. The sky was gold. It was rose. Kind of a nod to the whole rose gold thing, but what's really interesting, the words that I really like in this song are, I am not listening when you say goodbye. And that's what was speaking to me when I was listening to this song because, you can ignore things and you don't have to listen and you don't have to pay attention and you can be in denial. And that's kind of how I was feeling about what I was thinking about. So that's what I'm writing on there. I'm not listening when you say goodbye. So I wrote the words first with my fine tip Posca pen, and then I have this other pen that I bought one to try it out. I don't particularly like it. It doesn't flow well, but it's a Molotow acrylic paint marker, and it has a wider tip. So I just got it, and I'm widening and darkening and making the words more dynamic on the page for my text. So that's pretty much all I do to this page. It was a pretty quick one for this month. Um, if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment or question below what you think about the page. Is it too depressing? Is it too dark? Or do you sometimes feel like this? Um, of course, subscribe if you haven't already. And you can pin this or share it or whatever you want to do. Pick a stick challenge. You can come over and join. I've got a link in the description box below. Just remember, if you ask to join, to please answer the questions that come up when you ask to join, because otherwise we won't accept you. We need make sure that you understand that the group is about sharing the pick a stick challenge and not anything else. So that is it for me. Thanks. Bye bye.